You said you wanted arrows and a numpad. Mom said we had it at home. Hi, my name is Andy Nguyen, and here we have the Highfinger 75 by TD Lab. This is going to be fulfilled by Create Keys. We've been working with Create Keys for a while. Honestly, it's a very weird layout. It kind of has a 40%-ish vibe, but it has a num row, it has numpad, which kind of doubles up and has arrow keys. It's quirky, for sure. This is a full aluminum hot swap keyboard, and it has a solder option, but it has a brass weight, right? So elevated, and it has a PC plate, gasket mounted for the price of $270 for the wired unit and $300 for Bluetooth, which I know some of you have been asking for. This is a pretty solid deal. Let's start with what everyone is thinking about, feel and usability. I'll be honest, this layout is weird. You're missing the punctuation keys, right? So here's the enter key. Normally to the left of it, you're gonna have your apostrophe and quotations or whatever, but it's not there. It's going to be layered. So what you wanna do is you're gonna hit the function key, which typically is used as the right spacebar or the function key over here. But right spacebar is easier because your thumb is gonna be right there. You hold it down and then you press K and L for the punctuation. What's weird is you still have the brackets and the question mark. Same thing up here with O and P. The brackets are going to be layered with the right spacebar. The right spacebar, the split spacebar for this is very useful. You use it in 40s and you use it in smaller boards because you can get access to your function easier. You don't have to move your hand to get to a function key. Your hand is always gonna be right there. That way you can stay in the home row and still be able to type fully. It requires bigger brains, so if you're smooth brain like myself, perhaps don't consider a board like this. While you're looking at this, right? Where are the freaking F keys? This up here looks like an F row, but it's not. It is a num row. And then there's a backspace. Honestly, my hand's kind of small. I can't reach that backspace. Small hand gang rise up. Because of that, I immediately mapped the pipe key to be backspace. I would have soldered in split backspace for this, but unfortunately the hot swap doesn't have that option. You're stuck with the full backspace right here. So in terms of the F keys, just like a 65-60% keyboard, you'll use the function key, so right spacebar, to hit the F keys up here. So yes, we've understood that this board is weird, right? But what's cool is that there's a full number row. So normally 40s, you have the numbers layered and the symbols underneath that, which is freaking annoying. So what you would have to do is hold the right spacebar, hit like E for 3, but if you want to do the pound sign, you would have to do shift, right space, and then E. I couldn't keep up with it. I did it for a little bit, but I always type out my symbols. And you have arrows, so you don't have to layer your arrows on a 40% keyboard. For 40s users to hit the arrows, normally they map it like Vim arrows or something. It's all in a row. I don't really use arrows like that, so it's hard for me. So having dedicated arrows for this layout makes it a little bit more usable. The numpad, if you're a heavy numpad user, go ahead. I know I have the delete key here. It's supposed to be minus, but you have your full numpad for number entry. So in the case of having a num row that's offset a little bit further away, perhaps just use the numpad, maybe put F keys up here, map it for that. It'll make it a little bit more usable. I asked one of the accountants in the community, Brando, I was like, hey bro, can you use this layout for accounting in Excel? And he's like, maybe? No. They actually use some of the brackets over here, albeit for formulas, you don't use it over and over and over. You kind of type your formula one time and then you like drag and like expand it and everything. But having to layer and then do your brackets and stuff, it might take a lot of time. So I was trying to figure out like maybe this is for an Excel user. It's not. I think it's just for a masochist. Like I think if you want to punish yourself and have a weird looking keyboard, this is it for you. But I want to mention that split spacebar on a board like this is really nice. Having to reach over to try to do function, it takes some time and it breaks your flow because your hand's moving off of home row. With split spacebar, you can hit function, you can do all your stuff, all your shortcuts. You can also do this with SpaceFN in VIA. SpaceFN is this. When you tap it, it becomes space. You hold it down, it becomes function. You can use the software as well if you don't have a custom mechanical keyboard that has GMK or VIA. This works really well if you don't game. When you game, sometimes you drag the spacebar when you jump, and that's gonna mess it up. It's not gonna register a jump. But I will say, split spacebar, it's kind of fucked, like no lie, it's ugly. It's useful, but ugly. So this board is currently in IC and it's gasketed. It's a really nice and comfy typing experience. Nothing to complain about at all. So if you're looking at the IC and there's standoffs and O-rings, don't worry about it. They need to update that. Now that we talked about the usability and the feel, let's talk about the sound. The sound of this board, it's not bad at all. These are Durock Poms on PC plate. Pretty solidly clacky. The board is pretty big and heavy. So with all that aluminum mass, it feels fuller, it sounds fuller. I actually dig it a lot. But my favorite part, that spacebar, so freaking nice. I've always liked the split spacebar sound. I just don't have a lot of boards with split spacebar. We talked about the feel, we talked about the usability, we talked about the sound. Let's talk about the look of this board. This board looks like an 1800 layout, but not. It's like chopped off, so it's a little bit shorter. For some reason, we took out some punctuation to layer it. It honestly is a very interesting look. I love the anodization color here. Holy, look at that. That color pops like no other. Look at that, that is beautiful. You can see the side profile here, looks pretty cool. There is an intentional seam and gap, which I personally don't love. If you look right here, this power button, it lights up when you plug it in. Nice little touch. It fits with the quirky feel of the board. There's also an LED light bar right here. They told me that it's pretty bright in the proto and it's gonna be a little bit dimmer in the final. Looks pretty solid to me. Honestly, the look of this keyboard is just for someone who wants something different. Some people value a numpad and like the weird look of this board more than having the full alphas. The thing about the hobby is everyone has different interests and preferences, and so someone may love this look. I do like the LED light bar. It's a little bit cleaner than some flashy looking designs for keyboards and numpads I've seen. I'll show one up on the screen. Here are my final thoughts on the Highfinger 75. Honestly, this keyboard is kind of weird, but some people like the kind of weird. I don't feel like it's a cash grab in any way. It's affordable. Keycaps has been running a lot of keyboards, so I trust their fulfillment. I just think they wanted to see an interesting product made and they went for it. So TD Lab, cool beans. Personally, it's not for me because I need my full punctuation over here because I argue with people on Discord a lot. And when you argue with someone with punctuation, it adds a little bit of extra touch to piss them off. Or maybe don't argue with people online. The keyboard does all keyboard things right. There's no hollowness, there's a brass weight. The sound is pretty good, the feel is pretty good. It's gasket mounted. It's hot swap. So for beginners that want to make their life a little bit harder, here you go. You lose your punctuation. Someone out there, they may have been waiting for this their entire lives. Not my flavor, but if you're interested, I'll drop links for information and everything down below. Thank you for watching my review. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.